Today's guest is a fifth-time founder and award-winning product designer. Our guest is the co-founder of Ammortal, a revolutionary wellness chamber that combines red light, PEMF, guided breathwork, and NASA-inspired design into a multi-sensory experience that's helping everyone from pro athletes to burned-out entrepreneurs reset and recover and improve their output. In this episode, we unpack his incredible journey from a Wharton MBA and Inc. 500 startup exit. We also get into the science and the soul behind his mission of human vibrancy and what it really takes to build trust in a space full of noise.
Hey everyone, welcome to Business Unchained, where entrepreneurs and business owners come together to power up on their journey to greatness. My name is Bobby Mascia, owner of many businesses, including my passion, a wealth management firm that specializes in helping entrepreneurs. My life totally changed when I made a conscious decision to design my businesses to run themselves, not me and my time. If you're looking to get unchained from your business, make more money, and have more time, listen to the experiences of other successful entrepreneurs here on Business Unchained.
Bobby Mascia is the founder and CEO of Greenridge Wealth Planning. All opinions expressed by Bobby and his guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinion of Greenridge Wealth Planning. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for any financial decisions. Clients of Greenridge Wealth Planning may maintain positions in any securities discussed in this podcast.
Please welcome the founder who's engineering wellness at a whole new level, Brian Le Gette.
I like playing with the creation of products. I didn't think I was going to learn more about being an entrepreneur. I learned plenty. There were points in this company where during the creative process of the product, some of the folks who were working with me are like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you can do this. I don't believe this is happening. And this is the first time, again, fifth company, I didn't have a point in the past where I felt like my team didn't believe in me. And so that was new. That was one of those, And, you had to sit back and go, wow, and I didn't fault them. It was very difficult. And for those that were involved that had not created a complicated product, and you're not a product industrial designer, it looks like smoke and mirrors. And these were very difficult overlapping fields. And so, it was kind of an opportunity for me to kind of lean into myself, feel that. It's really the most important thing. Entrepreneurs tend to just go run right over it, but it's really feel that you are not trusted right now. People don't believe that you're going to do this. What does that mean? Why is this happening for you? What's the opportunity sitting inside that? And so the opportunity was for me to go back and to all of them and say, hey, you guys owe me nothing. You can leave at any moment. I love you. We'll be fine. I think that your lack of belief at this moment is rational. I get it. Makes sense based on your experience and the facts of what's going on right now. So it was an opportunity for me to kind of step into that rather than being upset at them or being hurt or feel like I'm being let down or those type of things. So I am definitely a startup guy in every market I've gone into. I'm also, I consider myself an industrial designer. And so like the current chamber, I designed it and drawing it with a pencil and all the way through getting it fully prototyped, built, and tested.
It looks pretty ergonomically, set up and comfortable. Is that I'm sure that was all part of the design. How long do people sit?
Yeah, and we get to step on the shoulders of other people. Like my business partner Stephen Young, who's not actively involved in the business right now, but was really instrumental at the very beginning. He was stacking these sciences in very different formats for MMA fighters and doing incredible healing changes, like taking you can't practice for 9 months to you can win in the ring in 4 or 5, 6 weeks with professional fighters. And so I looked at that and I already knew about some of the science. And I'm like, okay, well then I'm a product guy. Let me go make a chamber. Has anyone ever done this? Basically how this started. And then, I'm wrapping myself with in the creativity of others. And so the reason for the exact angles in the chamber is NASA spent a long time figuring out how to put 9 Gs behind a body and not have things turn off. And so it happens to be this incredibly comfortable shape, whether you're 4'8" or 6'8", it works. And so we get to borrow that. And there's a bunch of things in this the lights had already been created, and the clinical studies around those, and the PEMF and the hydrogen gas. So it was really combining things that other creative people had put together, as stepping on.
So can we do it? Can we just do a step back and a breakdown of this thing? Because I know along the journey, and we have entrepreneurs here that are listening to the show that, probably share a lot of the same stories from the sense of going through burnout, going through that stress and that fatigue, and trying to revitalize themselves because, what's one of the greatest commodities that we have is time. And we want to make sure that we're around to not only be here, but also use it effectively and not be worthless.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that people have gone through the journey of what supplements do I take? And there's a lot with hormone therapies out there now, and it's exercise, and it's the right types of healing, whether it's mentally or physically. It's, wearables and tracking activities and red light therapies and cold tanks, plunges. And I don't know, I could probably go on for, a list of 50 or 60 things off the top of my head. When you look at this creation that you've come up with, that you partnered with this idea of bringing somebody from off the mat to raising their hand and winning a title fight, what's the technology behind it? How does it work?
We're working on the whole human being, right? So there are some products out there that work really well on the physicality of the body. There are really good products that are working on psychobehavioral and emotional health. For us, this is all intimately connected. It's whack-a-mole essentially to play with only one, and hence people have to combine different things. And so one of our most important pillars here is to go after the whole of the human. We still want to be the best at the body, the best at the mind, but making sure that integration occurs and doing it inside of something that really feels fun, so you want to come back and do it again.
Where did your journey start with this?
Interesting. So for the first 50 years of my life and all of my career up until basically age 50, I was focused on using the scientific method and being creative with fun people to go after opportunities. And so I had 4 businesses before this. They were very opportunity based. One of them hit number 9 on the Inc. 500 of fastest growing companies, sold to a hedge fund. I took one and smashed it into a wall. The other 2, delivered good returns, but not Inc. 500 type stuff. And so, throughout that process, I was having fun. I was creating. We did hundreds of different products, dozens and dozens of patents, wonderful teams. And so that was fun. What I recognized as I started getting older is this awakening, maybe a decade ago, of why am I doing anything that isn't absolutely what I love? Like, why am I creating in an industry that isn't something I spend my time doing? Right. And so I switched from opportunity based to really, I'm going to call it being very on path and very connected with who I am and what I love and what really makes me happy to create within. I love creativity and creation, but it would be wonderful if I'm creating in the space that I'm already spending my moments in. I've always been interested in the space, everything from, how to eat properly to how to, do movement with the body, mindset, and, from meditation to breathwork to whatever, all these things have always been wheelhouse for me. And so it was wonderful to create in that space.
Is your background business, or is it more design engineer type of background? You say, I see this opportunity in the market here, and I think that we could capitalize on it. Let me get the right design team to come in and put it together. Or are you the guy who's like the inventor who I have an idea and now I need to bring it to fruition? And
it's been some of both.
And you sit at the center
over my career. Originally I'm an electrical engineer, worked on semiconductors before I started going off into what I'm doing now on entrepreneurship. I went to Wharton and grabbed an MBA. Felt like I needed some additional business chops on top of that academically. So the idea is what's the thing that everyone needs that also works perfectly well for the high performance person? And I'm going to say person, so professional athlete or a high performance entrepreneur, right? What do they both need? There's some form of getting ready to do something that that takes all of you, right? And there's some form of, I just expended all of me. How do I get, repaired and recover back so I can go put myself back out on that mat, that court, that boardroom, whatever it is. And so that was really the kind of genesis of this. And there is there's a stack. It's based in nature. And again, I had, a lot of wonderful help from people that on the science side of this. And so it's, what do we need? Like if you go to a Aboriginal tribe anywhere in the world that's really disconnected from the modern world, they don't have chronic disease. They don't even have a name for it. They don't have cancer. They don't have a name for it. They are moving. They are getting the sun. They're getting the Earth's magnetic field. They're eating naturally and right close to where the crop and the animal are. And they have a sense of purpose and community and essentially shared love and protection and all these things, right? In the modern world.
Yeah, most of the things that we just completely have brushed aside.
We've essentially wonderful, the beauty of tribe, not tribe as in the othering, separation from other people, but I am cared for and I care for people and I have a reason for being and I am taking care of my body and the earth and so on. It's disconnected, right? And getting more so disconnected. So the chamber is a tool that is bringing back the past, right? So light is the sun. We are using red light and near infrared light. The pulse electromagnetics and the pulse electric fields is the earth. And so it is the Schumann resonance and other electromagnetic frequencies that bounce between the earth and the ionosphere. We give all of those back into the body. And we allow the body to pick and choose what it needs for whatever area of the body. We're also doing molecular hydrogen. And I'll explain how these three work in tandem together. And then we do the vibroacoustics and the guided breath work and the meditation that begins to bring the mind into this and cohere the mind and the heart and in that perfect homeostatic moment that allows for us to get out of the fight or flight sympathetic mode with everything, the cortisol and the adrenaline firing and getting us down into the parasympathetic mode at a minimum where you're getting the oxytocin, the serotonin, those type of things, the dopamine. But we're looking to get you into that homeostatic middle position between those two places. That is the perfect healing state. And then in that healing state, I'd like to work on the biology, including the brain, not just the body, the brain and the mind. And so on the body standpoint, we'll talk about the cell. And if any of this sounds like I'm making medical claims, we are not a medical device. None of these are medical claims. We are a wellness product. But we do have science that has been tested and FDA approved and so on that we are leveraging. So the red light and near infrared light frequency that we picked these are the two most tested frequency with many, many studies behind them. Same thing with everything else that we've put together. And so the idea is to take stuff that science has said is valid and it does these list of things. And also there are some compounding studies, for instance, light and pulse electromagnetic fields magnify the efficacy of the light. And so we can leverage those. But the goal was, what is something that will de-inflame the cell, open up cell wall permeability, that's the voltage from the PEMF, and then the hydrogen gas is a fantastic antioxidant. So we're working on the entire biology, takes out oxidative stress. Now that cell is, has some de-inflammation, has some better permeability, send in that hydrogen gas, take out the oxidative stress. I liken it to the cell going, and for some people, it's like the first time that their bodies had some sort of opportunity for change like that. And if at the same moment,
is that why you look so young?
Yeah. At that same moment, if the mind is also in the nervous system or in these two beautiful spots, and then I'm going to move this like it's the mind, like the mind is inside the brain. It is not in my parlance, but then we can create this coherence to the body because ultimately you heal yourself. The placebo effect, I joke and say it's the giant pink elephant in the room. It's like it's resting on your shoulder, and it's like every hour or so it goes, you ready to know that your mind is in charge of your body? Right? And you're like, no? Okay, I'll come back later. We have every study out there saying that it's more efficacious than any drug. It's more efficacious than any chemotherapy. It's more efficacious than anything. And all that is disciplined belief. So the mind is upstream from the body. And this is why I say if you only work on the body, that working on that cell is great. But if we can engage the mind and the nervous system to be in that process of that perfect homeostatic place to get into that healing state, real magic happens. In fact, so much so that a professional athlete who was there because he or she needs to get on that field or that court and do their best every single day, that person all of a sudden, every once in a while, has this opportunity for a transcendent moment where they leave their body and they have like an inexplicable, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. And so that's a wonderful additional outcome. Again, we're not doing that. We're just kind of putting you into this place where all of this magic happens. And it's a serving for everybody, especially those that are in this kind of need for professional excellence in their moment, which is many, many people.
It's so interesting because, I was just in Costa Rica, and while I was in Costa Rica, one of the things that the concierge at the resort that we were staying at had mentioned was you could take a trip to the Blue Zone to see how the people live that are extending over 100 years in age. And I thought that was interesting. Just as a sale, like that's what they were trying to get. And I started to look a little bit more into just Blue Zones and curiosity, you try to find out, okay, well, what are they doing differently? Yeah. And I think a lot of people talk to it, but one of the biggest things is the moment of purpose, the idea of purpose, just like you said, and reduction of stress. There was no need to do anything more than what they were naturally inclined to do. And life was simpler. So that stress is just that cortisol that's rushing through your body in those high intense moments are really what's kind of creating all of these chronic illnesses, all of these issues that people have and short their longevity and taking away their vitality.
Yeah.
So it's stress. Think about something like this. Yeah, like too much stress on top of broken metabolism. Like it's, I didn't mean to interrupt. But totally. No. I mean, I was wrapping it up. I'm just more thinking of like, all right, so you have this thing, right? It is, it's not a small ticket. So it's for either I'm assuming you get a membership at a partner. How do we have locations to this? And then how often are you supposed to get in this thing?
Yeah, we have locations on our website, and we're adding, more every month. So there will be hundreds across the country by the middle of next year. There's lots in private homes as well. So for those that have the means, this is your perfect one-stop shop in the morning. Like you get up, boom, go do a session, you're good. Or come back from some jet lag, or you need to go to sleep. There are modes for all of these different outcomes. We're very outcome driven. And so, but for everybody else, the goal is to have this at a reasonable price, down the street in every single city. And we're going in various different types of verticals, spas and hospitality and clinics, and there's all kinds of different ways in which this can fit in, because it works. Since it works for everybody, like if people are like, "Was this for me?" Like, yes, yeah. We all need better cellular operation, right? We all need to calm and get into our nervous system down into this much, much better place. We need to give ourselves the opportunity to go do that. And so, so you can find all those.
Yeah. How often do you go in this thing? I mean, is this something that you should go in once, twice, three times a week, or is it daily or 15?
If you want to feel different, a single session, we'll do that. And of course, more sessions we'll add to that. If you want to feel a performance difference, some people get that out of a single session, rather dramatic performance, but it's anecdotal and very, very different by person. And then, like 3 times. And so if you did this 3 times over 10 days, you can something's going to happen. Sleep, energy, all of it. Things are going to start to shift. You're going to start to notice things. I always tell people, like, they'll get out of a session and they'll feel very calm, and maybe for the first time in weeks. And, they may come out and surprise themselves and say, I think I was meditating. I can't meditate. Like, well, and so they'll get out and they'll feel that calm. And I say, well, feel how you're feeling in the morning. Like, how was your sleep? Do you really feel like you need your caffeine? Like, everybody has a different set of reactions because they're all in these different states of various things, from the modern world, keeping them down.
Have you tracked the results of these through like wearables or how are you? How are you quantifying the results?
We're doing studies. We're doing a mental health, a mental performance study. We're doing physical performance studies. We're designing studies with professional teams right now. Because a lot of what happens is if the professional athlete notices a difference because they're looking for 1%, 2%, 3% better on the field, right? Faster, remember the play better, whatever it is, recover faster. So if we can tune it so that they're noticing it, then it tends to apply to everybody else. So we're going to have a lot of studies wrapped around them. And then I should say, if you want to look better, if you're using this for a month, a couple times a month, you're going to start to notice this is where the red light can start to have collagen impact on the skin and these type of things. Amazing things happen. And we've had, again, anecdotal. This is not a medical claim, but we've had people say many hundreds of times, my 11-year shoulder pain is gone. And they'll contact me the next day and it's still gone. I can't sleep through the night. I slept through the night. All these different things. And so, what is that attributable to? I believe it is this full soup of mind, body, spirit connection. And I mentioned entertainment. And if you don't mind, I'll just real quick dive on that. So we create our content. The first music was created in Bali by this incredible, I call him a magician scientist around resonance, vibration, and sound. He is now with us full time. And we're creating various soundscapes for this thing so that we don't want to get bored. You don't want to do the same music, even though we have multiple different music versions right now. We'll be doing multiple themes, if you will, multiple albums that you'll choose from as you move forward. And that's going to expand into other areas, into light and other things like that, where there'll be unique differences for each of these. But the music is composed with...
So are these like guided meditations or...
Yeah. So this is vibroacoustics. And so we are vibrating the bed. We have a 2-channel multi-speaker, multi-transducer vibration bed. We'll be increasing the scope and power of that as we move forward. And right now that creates, I'll call it's the sensory cocoon.
I'm assuming day one, this bed didn't look the way it looked. Talk to me a little bit about your V1, some of the skeptics that you might have faced and how you've kind of come to where you started versus where you are today.
Yeah, so the very first version was flat and we were just combining these technologies and looking for the outcomes, obviously, that we were interested in. It was very important to do the entire...
So like a tanning bed.
I'm sorry?
So like a tanning bed.
It was more like that. Yeah, there's a lot of products out there that are flat. Since we're focused on a lot of outcomes, what we found was when we put someone on there, for instance, that had a joint-based disease like Lyme's disease or something like that, that is very difficult for them to straighten their leg that long. And so they were constantly looking for a pillow under their knee just to put that bend in their knee. And so, which then blocked the light, right? And so we needed a solution here that worked. And fortunately, NASA spent a lot of time figuring this out. So we're like, thank you very much. We'll take that. So there was a bunch of those type of tunings in this process. It's also, how are we delivering the pulse electromagnetics? Are we focused on the torso, the rest of the body? What's the best way to stack certain things? Various frequency combinations of things that we wanted to do. Are we pulsing? Is it solid? All those. So we went through a lot of investigation and tuning on that. And then the actual look, the aesthetic of the chamber, sometimes things come to you easily. I woke up on a Saturday morning and drew it with pencil in 10 minutes. And I wanted...
It's funny how that works, right?
I wanted some... So I knew we had the NASA zero gravity angle, which gives this kind of lightning bolt look. And so for me, I'm like, well, we are energizing the body. It'd be pretty cool if it looked like a lightning bolt through a block. And so that was the general design on this. And then I very much wanted to... I always believe that great products, great packaging on an aisle, like it's communicating to your subconscious. It is visually arresting consciously. And so the subconscious communication was you're about to take a journey. And so for me, that was make the bed float. Because if it's suspended, kind of floating, it's disconnected from the thing. It feels like I might be taking a journey like down a river or something like that. At least that's how it felt to me. And so that was the reason for separating the bed from that, and including making the top supported on a single column. So it was very open. I wanted to make sure that those that are suffering from claustrophobia, that we had the minimal footprint on making them feel uncomfortable. Because being calm...
How many iterations of this thing did you go through?
I built a flat one in 2 weeks and built another one over a month, playing with the energies. And then it was this version. It took 3 years to get this to work. There were a bunch of hurdles that we figured were coming when you overlap all the fields that we are overlapping, especially electromagnetics and electric fields, and things are pulsing, and you've got data lines and power lines all through this, and it has to be in some sort of synchrony. And a lot of them are on at the same time. I was joking with an investor the other day, and he was like, well, what if someone comes in and does something similar? And I said, well, the market there's opportunities for people. I said, I'm not too worried about it. And I said, we're going to continue to keep reinventing ourselves. It's my answer to him. And I said, that was
actually my next question. How much of this is patented?
We have several patents that are pending. Some have been issued. I would say that the inventive step of this product is covered. It'd be very difficult to kind of duplicate. It'd be not easy to reverse engineer, if that makes sense.
Well, that means you designed it pretty well for your company's sake. Did you go into this originally saying, hey, listen, I need to get some investors. I need to get some money behind it. I need to get some other thought leaders behind it. Or did you just start bootstrapping this thing, put it together before you, how do you find the people that you want in the sandbox?
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming there were a number of critical roles that needed to come together for something like this, or some of your other ventures. Where do you find those playmates? So to speak.
I'm going to give a slightly esoteric answer, and then I'll give you a more 3D answer. So esoterically, I believe that when you are, and I'm going to use these words, if they feel unserving to people, please hopefully find some words that you feel like you could replace these with. But when I feel like I am in my own resonance, I am doing what I am supposed to be doing, and I am doing it with enjoyment, right? Even if it's complicated at times, and I am doing it in a way that is out of love for my customer. I'm not just doing this because I can make a buck. Like, I'm doing this because I am truly serving somebody with this. I was easy with this type of product to feel like I'm doing that. When I'm doing that, I feel like people start to come. I would call this I'm at a higher vibration, right? Because I'm going to use frequencies because that's what I deal with. But I'm resonating at a higher vibration. I'm more on path, more true to myself, and true to this game that we live in, from my perspective. When that happens, all of a sudden, people kind of just appear. On the 3D side, we also had a fantastic recruiting process, and we have it's a fun place to work with a great team that respects each other, and so that tends to get out there. And then we've had a lot of people, it's interesting, come through customers. And so they see how we treat them. I mentioned to you prior that we like to think of our customer as family. And so the question is always, how would you treat a sister, a brother, a mother, a father? And it really guides everything we're doing. It's how we treat each other inside the company. And that feel is very positive to customers. Customers start funneling people that are from the industry. They might be doing various things. They might be in sales. They might be in whatever. All of a sudden, they're like, hey.
Well, that magnifies the resonance that you're kind of throwing off when you have the people around you that feel the same energy.
I call it, it's the path to growth that's full of ease and grace, right? Just take care of people, be true to yourself. Things start to happen magically.
What's the grand plan for yourself over the next 12 to 24 months as you go through this journey? What are some of the things that you're looking to connect together to grow your exposure here and your ability to help other people?
We are constantly creating, and we'll never stop. And so whatever people see, we are working on other new next. And we will be at the very front of this. I would say in many ways in the industry, we'll be at the very front in exploring how to take anything that is in the zeitgeist right now in this industry that people are talking about, from AI to whatever, and getting that put into our technology and product roadmap. It's for me, in the age of AI, companies that are, say, resting on a very particularly strong patent on a piece of technology, it's a lose business strategy. I've got dozens and dozens of patents, and I only say that to put some strength behind this statement. And that is that I don't value them as much now, because the speed of innovation in our industry and a lot of industries is going to be much faster than the value of that patent's protection. And so putting moats and fences around what you're doing is much less important than being the next innovator and consistently inventing the next thing, because it's going to happen fast. AI is going to inform companies on how to create much faster. They're going to have Jarvises sitting inside their company, pulling and ideating with them. We do. And so for me, that's my fun space. And I feel like it's the fun space for the team as well. And then the second part of that, I would say, is I also believe that if you do this alone, if you don't collaborate, and I mean in a way that is uniquely different, and this requires venture capital to play ball with this. But if venture capital is going to sit in a space where they're like, show me your moats and fences and how you're going to bang people in the face that come near you on your wave, I believe those companies have a shelf life. Again, AI and the speed of innovation of what's going on in here, especially in this industry's at 0.0001% of what it's going to be. I would say that if I liken this to surfing, I'm on a wave. There's plenty of room for other people to surf this wave. I can't see the end. I can't see the shore. Like it's a massive industry in the making. But in this collaboration form, again, in the age of AI, collaborating with many companies that are also best in class in their swim lane, where you can share sensor and science investigation, or you can share studies and doing scientific investigation, clinical studies together, so that we're using the same test and measurement equipment and we can corroborate what's going on. We're going to be introducing some things that have never been used shortly here in the entire space. And rather than me, for instance, having to educate or argue with the market that this has validity, right now I am working with 5 other companies to all launch in their swim lane the same basic technology in collaboration, so that we just blow right past that, because it does work and we will be able to corroborate each other. And so we're constantly looking for not only that kind of internal creative engine just to keep on going and getting us to the next space, but also to do that in an industry, large format. We think it's the most serving thing for a customer. So if we really do love our customer, this feeds that. We think it's the best thing for our investors. It absolutely creates better predictability, better stability, more outcomes. It also, it even gives them a feed on deal flow. Because who would you want to work with? You want to work with the people that already know the ethical, value structure of this company, know how they fit in and how they're collaborating and where revenue could come from.
That's awesome, because I was going to ask you how you're using AI, but it seems like you're using it for ideation, economies of scale. You're using it for education, for cross-servicing each other with data to help validate certain theories that you have. That's a lot more than I think most people are doing.
And we're doing it. We're creating it into products with a lot of power. I'll say it that way. There's a tremendous amount that is coming inside of this industry, and we would like to be one of those at the front of the biggest wave.
So, if you think about the opportunity, what does the opportunity look like in your mind?
I feel like the opportunity is to wake some sleeping giants. There are people out there with means that because what we're doing, there's many swim lanes right in this space to go do this. And so there's that. There's also, if we think of the human being can heal themselves, as they do again in all these places that don't have the modern world drowning them, that getting to a place where our product consistently continues to get easier and better, where and access is created and spread further and further and further. We, along with the partner companies, along with other entrance into the space, can create this, kind of getting humanity's head above water, right? As I feel like our current healthcare system, with some really dedicated, beautiful people, and people would say, "Oh, drug companies or this or that." I feel like this is mostly filled with a lot of good people with good intentions, and maybe they're not aware of certain things, but I think they generally want to do good. And so I think in most people, the healthcare industry feels to me like this. If I had an anecdote or metaphor for this, is that they're running up with love and they're like, "Hey, you're underwater. Here's a snorkel, right? Okay, are you breathing? You're good? Okay, great. I got to get snorkels out to these people." And that feels like the industry. What is happening now is the Ammortal Chamber and many other companies are like, wait a minute, we can actually help get their head above water. That's really our position, right? Let's get your head above water. When your head's above water, all these things come online, right? Your liver and your systems and so on, everything just starts to perform differently. I can get out of the stress states. I can help myself. I can heal myself, essentially. And so our goal is really to get people's head above water and put them into that perfect healing state, and then add some energy and add some gas and add some other things into the body to help that process speed up.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like symptoms, right? What are your symptoms? Let's fix the symptoms instead of getting to the root cause. Yeah. And it looks like you're trying to get to the root cause.
There's a lot of symptom masking because there's a lot of money in that. And again, this is not me going and talking about the symptom masking industries that are there and saying you're bad, right? I really think they're making a buck. They think they're doing good. And in some cases, if you just think about it in the simplistic terms, they're giving someone a pill, for instance, their pain is going away. That's good, right? It's just that they'll need that pill forever, right? In many cases, or they'll need that, whatever that solution is, forever. Again, great economic model, but not really serving. We would like to get to a place where people don't need the chamber because they have been able to, use this ability to understand breath and meditation and these various energy sciences to get them to a place where they can go do something else.
Yeah, it really is unbelievable. I mean, there's just so many things out there, and it's hard to disseminate what's the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do, what's the supplement, and how do you have the exit strategy so you can get off of it and you don't have to be relying upon it. It's I think it's a lot of that with I see with people talking about the hormone therapy. It's almost like you start taking testosterone and then what? You're just on it forever. And how does that really long-term impact the body? We know,
there's some interesting things. We're doing a tremendous number of protocol stack creativity right now with people that do injections and pills and things like that. Things companies you're familiar with in the market with very specific outcomes. As we're doing those, we're constantly looking for things that this isn't a forever thing, right? This is it's a kickstart to get you to a different place so your body can start to help repair itself. Or it's something that you're doing right before a game or right before a something or from healing from an injury, these type of things. So that it isn't a forever type of process, but they're so powerful, these stacks. For instance, take this, do that, do this, right? This type of sequences. If you really want to change your sleeping patterns, we can kind of move you into this place. If you really want to change energy production, in the mitochondria or something like that, and for performance athletically or something like that, here's the stack of things. And we're going to go test these things and make sure that they work. Make sure that we're with the partner that uses clean ingredients, that loves their customer just like we do, that wants to make sure that the study has efficacy and they've created a safe process, which has been quite a bit of fun. And we're months in on these processes, and we'll be working with those as well. The chamber, fortunately, is this perfect stack tool. Doesn't matter whether you're doing stem cells or IVs or pills or liquids or anything you're putting into the body or breathing things, anything you're putting into the body is going to be more available to the body if the chamber is right before or right after it, depending on what you're putting together. And even stacking it with hot or cold therapy, right? You can sequence these things so that either a cell is opening up or the nervous system is getting into that calm state, and put them before or after. A simple way to think about this, if someone's getting an IV, I think it's 50% of people that get a needle put in their arm, their nervous system is through the ceiling. Their nervous system being in that fight or flight, terrified mode for the entire time that the IV is not making that IV most available to the body, right? You want the system to be working with that. And so how about a 15-minute chamber session? And then when you're like that, then go over and do that IV. And maybe you set your intention that the needle is not a big deal when you went into the session, so that you're mentally releasing the fact that you will have a fear on that. So these are really important things. We're just going to keep playing and testing and playing and testing. And hopefully at the end of that, there's no education needed. We don't have to explain a bunch of things. We'll just be try this, and it'll be like magic. And that's all that matters, right? We don't need to, it's so difficult to educate. You talked earlier about the 50 things that you could talk about. We go in and we talk to spas and clinics, and if I walk in and I see a menu of things, right? Individually. I'm like, do you think that the average person coming off the street looking at that is anything but just terrified and overwhelmed?
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, overwhelmed. Like I really highly encourage you to have a prescriptive first visit that's based on an interview and some testing. And some of them are doing a great job of this. And so, because that's really the big issue, because especially when they're going into a piece of equipment that doesn't entertain them, doesn't calm their nervous system. And a lot of the tech out there, I have a sauna and a cold plunge in the back of my house here. I love them. I also do a breathwork and a meditation, and I do a whole bunch of things that I know really works for that. The average person going into a cold plunge is terrorized, right? And so I also believe that over time, we're going to get to a place where these wonderful therapies will get tuned to such an extent that instead of having to overpower the nervous system with cold or hot or electricity or electromagnetics or whatever, it's just overpower it, right? It's like push the nervous system into submission. I believe we will recognize that the most important thing is to get the nervous system and drop the threshold for healing by getting the nervous system into that beautiful, calm state to be in support of whatever it is that you're applying. Doing these stacks that don't require knowledge, they just work. You don't have to entertain, you don't have to educate someone on it. You can just say, this is this outcome, right?
How far off are you from actually putting these stacks together?
We'll have some in 2026, but we will be doing these forever. So we'll be constantly tuning the chamber and improving it to make those better. The chamber by itself, that doesn't require those things. But if we're looking for a true outcome, the outcome is, let's look at all of it. What's the weave that we can pull together that doesn't require someone to go read and learn and digest this incredibly difficult overflow of information that we have in the market right now. It's very difficult to discern credibility and safety and efficacy and all these things. And so we'll work with them to do that, help put the studies together. And if we can do that with,
and I think I
mentioned these other partners that are creating technologies that we're working with, we all get to share in this. Like, what works for you, and what ideas do you have? And so it again builds that trust, which is the most important thing, and builds the simplicity and the knowing back into the process, which is what we're missing right now. And I don't fault anybody that isn't doing this right now. We're at the very beginning of all this. It's incredibly difficult to communicate this to the average person. And a lot of the first movers that are coming to these clinics and these spas, they are doing the reading. And so there's enough of a market to kind of justify that right now. And we'll get towards working together towards that simplistic, I'll call it the ease and grace process of engagement with the customer to get them to that outcome.
Yeah, and I think it's, efficacy is one of those big things that people question because there's different versions and that come out, some that work, some that don't work. And then it's, to your point, well, maybe unilaterally, it's not just that product, but it's how do you stack that into what your regimen should look like in order to attain the results that you're looking to get.
And there's some things like we're doing, there's 4 or 5 things going on inside the chamber, all designed to put you right into that aware, lack of aware, or, unaware theta brainwave state at 4 hertz, right? In theory, every one of them will do it. But people are different. And this is where, individuality is incredibly important moving forward for us and for everybody. And so personalization of the session. And so it's what we're spending heavily on right now. But in that thing, we could, if we stack these things where there's like a redundant thing and tends to, if you do these 3 ways of getting you into a 4 hertz brain state for getting you calm, these 3 ways, these 3 cover 95% of people. Well, that's a great piece of information. Let's share that across the system and make sure that we're all leveraging these things.
Well, listen, I was looking forward to having you come on just to kind of hear your perspective on that, vitality, longevity, the tool that you've created, and geek out on that a little bit. And I love the additional benefit that we got in terms of your insight as an entrepreneur who's opened and been part of a number of successful companies. And that's always good stuff to leave our listeners with, because I think that you also have the people who are listening who are saying, yeah, listen, I'm mellowed out and my nervous system has kind of helped me to heal. Well, what are some of the things that you've kind of struggled with that you found and navigated your way through to help you get from ideation to execution and release and growing this thing? So I appreciate you sharing some of that stuff too.
Thank you. And if I could leave,
how do people find you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. If I could add one last thought into this, and that is, I think people think of the industry that we're in, right? You could call this like it's a part of healthcare. I feel like that's not a good way to people call it health and wellness. And then some people will call the industry that they're in well-being. And so we like to think of it as human vibrancy. And so it feels like it's the pinnacle, whereas all the rest of these are like wellness is, for a lot of people in their head, episodic. It's not all the time. And health is relative to other people. And every year health goes down. So am I healthy? So it's not a goal. So for us and all the partners that we work with, we use these words human vibrancy because it's like the top of the mountain. And you can define it any way you want. And so I would encourage everybody that is going out there looking to dive into this industry, improve themselves in whatever way they think, that they're not broken. There's just a lot of extra things that the body and the mind hasn't had a chance to adjust to because the modern world is accelerating so fast, and that they should be looking for things that are not going to have to be repeated over and over and over again, and get them that are designed to get them to human vibrancy or some sort of pinnacle, not to get them above water only.
Yeah, there's so many things that have been coming out as of late. And I think a lot of people are focusing on this and they just don't know where to really, to your point of going into and seeing a laundry list of things and not being guided through a process. And, we had that what the hell was his name? The guy who sold out his software company for, what was it, $100 million, and he was spending $1 million a year on just trying to figure out how to increase his longevity, including
Brian
taking
Johnson.
his 18-year-old son's blood. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now he's out with some new product that he's selling on longevity. And I think people have gone to certain extents, and sometimes it's just as simple as going back to what our ancestors did and how they've kind of navigated through our humanity and our being. And I love the fact that it's just as simple as that, with the idea of maybe you don't need it later on. Maybe it's just a way to train your body to kind of get back to some sort of normal stasis.
Yeah, really, really understanding. And we're going to be doing a lot of content that's going to help with this process. So, there's an opportunity while you're sitting in the chamber to learn things, right? And hopefully simplistic, powerful, serving things. And so I had a discussion with somebody at one point, and they said, well, if I don't have $160,000, what do I do? And I said, well, you would go to one of our multiple clients in one of the cities. And they said, well, what if I don't have any money at all? And I said, well, in theory, take your shirt off, take your shoes off. Hopefully it's warm outside. Go outside, bury your feet into the ground and get some of the Earth's magnetic field while you're pulling in some sun. Don't worry about your skin. Be out there for like 10 or 15 minutes. Breathe deeply, inhale and exhale. And then when you're finally in that place where you're feeling that warm sun and your fingers are in the dirt or the water or whatever on earth, then send, unconditional love and forgiveness to everybody last week that did you wrong. I said, if you did that process right there and just release all that stuff that's in the mind, because the mind is upstream from the body, and you're reconnecting with yourself and with the planet, a lot of the things in your body are going to start to come online.
How do people find you if they're looking for you?
Ammortal.com. We've got a bunch of different, so that's AMMORTAL. There's a bunch of ways listed right there for contact on how you'd like to connect with us. If you'd like to purchase or partner or something like that. And the locations also are listed on there. You can go through the top nav and easily find where you might be able to try it out. And I would say for most people, if you are sitting here and you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, just imagine this is really fun. And so you're picking something that might have this benefit that this guy's describing, but at least it's fun. So you're going to have a very enjoyable ride. You will feel calm. It does amazing things. Please give it a try.
I've got one 30 minutes north of me, and I'm going to take a trip to go try it out. And Jess is already telling me we have to buy one for the office. So
perfect.
We may be talking pretty soon on an acquisition of something like that. But I appreciate your time. This was great. Love everything that you're doing, and I appreciate you taking this time. Hey guys, Bobby Mascia here. If you've been listening to Business Unchained, you know we're creating conversations that matter. real stories and strategies to help business owners and entrepreneurs win. We've been putting a lot of work into these episodes in our online community, bringing you content that can actually move the needle for your business. And we're everywhere: Instagram, LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, TikTok, you name it, we're there. So look, if you're getting value from what we're doing, please follow, subscribe, and drop a quick comment or like. It really helps us grow this thing. Just search Business Unchained and you'll find us everywhere.